Hey, Chris Grove here. Today we are doing another film review. This is Night Shift from 1982. This movie was directed by Ron Howard, stars Henry Winkler as Chuck Lumley, Michael Keaton as Bill Blazowski, Shelly Long as Belinda Keaton, Kevin Costner as Frat Boy Number One, Gina Hacht as Charlotte, Richard Belzer as Pig, and Joe Spinell as Manetti. This movie is about a couple morgue attendants, played by Henry Winkler and Michael Keaton, who decide to help one of their neighbors, played by Shelly Long, who's a call girl. And she and her friends have lost their pimp because, well, he got killed and thrown off of a high rise and slam dunked through a basketball hoop, basically. Because the pimp industry is very dangerous. So he's no longer in the picture, and they need someone that they can rely on. So these two guys decide to step up and, well, become pimps. But they don't really decide to become pimps. They decide to become love brokers, because pimps is such an ugly word. And that's the premise of this film. So these guys have a different approach. They give the girls a little more cut than a normal pimp would, and it all takes place in New York City. They're New York morgue attendants, so at night they're on the night shift and they don't have any supervision. So why not turn this place into a brothel or an out-call service? So that's what they do. And it's funny, it's charming, it plays like a long sitcom sometimes, but it all kind of works. It all really works. It's quirky. It's very 1982, and it's New York City, and it's 1982 gritty heyday, just coming off the 70s. And I absolutely adore this film. And it's also considered a Hollywood film because it roughly takes place around Thanksgiving through, I think, early January, if the timeline is correct. I just saw it the other night, so I'm going by that timeline that the film presents itself to us as. And I think that's pretty close. And there's a scene where they're having Thanksgiving, and Henry Winkler has to rush down to bail out his neighbor who got arrested, and she's at night court, and he's trying to help her out. And anyway, Henry Winkler, this was not the Fonz role for him. He is not Fonzie in this at all. He is kind of a meek pushover, pretty much. Then he gets a new partner. Well, he's reassigned to the night shift by his boss. And his boss hires the son, or actually hires his nephew, to become the daytime guy. Because, hey, nepotism and all. Family gets first dibs, right? So he hires his nephew for the day shift, and the nephew doesn't do anything but watch the Flintstones all day. And he doesn't do any reports or any real work. And there's a lovely line in there where the nephew's just laughing his ass off to the Flintstones. And Henry, who plays Chuck, walks in there, and you hear the guy going, that Bonnie Rebel, what an actor, which is one of my favorite lines in the movie. My other favorite line in the movie is when Michael Keaton says, "Pimps, that's such an ugly word. Let's be love brokers. Come on, love brokers. Say it with me, Anyway, I think that's my favorite line in the whole movie. So they do. They become love brokers. And they give the ladies a bigger cut than what most pimps would for their hard work and labor. And it's almost like they turn into a dating service. I mean, prostitution is an ugly business, especially street prostitution. So I think they try to class it up as much as they can. And there's a few montages there where they send the girls out and then they gotta like, go pick up a body, then they gotta go drop the girls off to the hotel and yada yada. But they're sort of like, it's almost like they're using this as like an escort service as opposed to a gritty prostitution ring. And that makes it all the more endearing, I guess. And Henry Winkler's character, Chuck, who used to work on Wall Street, apparently, has a knack for money. And he does get the girls to invest their money in burger joints and other things. And they are able to make more money and invest and put some away and maybe get out of this business, sooner than later. And I mean, it's not fully explored because this is still a comedy slash love story in a way. And it also has That's What Friends Are For. That's what friends are for. Kind of going through the soundtrack. And during the closing credits, we get Rod Stewart performing it. Because apparently he performed it before Dionne Warwick did. I guess. I don't know. I thought Dionne Warwick did it originally, and maybe she did, or maybe he covered it. But he does this version. And it's not bad. It's actually really good. During the opening credits, I just want to talk about opening and closing credits for a minute, because in '82, especially during this time frame, it was kind of like the heyday of really good opening and closing credits. So during the opening credits, you see, Henry Winkler off to go pick up a body, basically Franklin, the first pimp that Shelly Long has. Shelly Long's character is Belinda, by the way. That's her name in this movie. And he goes to pick up Franklin. And you see him driving, through New York City, the mean streets of New York, and Quarter Flash is playing. And it's one of the best early 80s uses of music that I've come across. Just music and opening credits and driving through New York at night. And it's just wonderful. It gets you into the tone, into the zone of the film. Like, all right, this is kind of gritty, but I guess it's a comedy, maybe a romance, something like that. Let's go along with it. Let's see what happens. Let's have fun with it. So we do. We have fun with it. And during the closing credits, that's when That's What Friends Are For by Rod Stewart is playing. And it's hands down the best closing credits sequence shot over New York City that I've ever seen. It starts off on Broadway, pulls away, you go past the top of the needle of the Empire State Building, all lit up. It goes south, just down toward Wall Street, and then you go past the Twin Towers, and then the East River and all the bridges, and then fade out. And it's just beautiful. It lasts forever. I mean, they take their sweet time with these closing credits. And every time I watch this movie, I'm just watching that going, it just captures a feeling of New York in the early 80s and 1982 and all its 1982-ness. And I love it. I think it's fabulous. It's fantastic. And it really gives you a vibe that sticks with you. And so that's nice. That's nice to see. Some other things worth mentioning in this. So this was originally intended. Ron Howard intended this to be Henry Winkler's breakout role from TV to film. It really catapulted Michael Keaton, though, because Michael Keaton plays Bill Blazkowski, who's just this wild and crazy guy. Tom Hanks could have played this character back in the day. In fact, both Tom Hanks and Michael Keaton have the same energy to their earlier roles when they both did comedy and screwball comedy and weren't afraid to do things like Night Shift or, in Tom Hanks's case, Bachelor Party, or even Splash to a certain degree, which is also directed by Ron Howard. And I do see similarities between the two, and the comedy stylings and the way New York is shot and all that is very similar. Ron Howard does have a cameo in here where he's making out with his wife, and Henry Winkler is like walking by to his apartment, and it's just a nice little cameo. It's kind of like a Hitchcock cameo, if you will. Like, oh, there's a director, you know. So that's nice to see. Richard Belzer playing a pimp. Kind of interesting, because Richard Belzer is a comedian. And here he is playing a pimp. Is he intimidating? Kind of, but he's still Richard Belzer. So it's like, well, okay, I guess I'll buy him as a pimp. You know, he can be intimidating with his trench coat and dark glasses, I guess. I don't know. Joe Spinell. Joe Spinell is a character actor, probably most known for the movie Maniac from 1980, which is a truly brutal character study of a psychopath who goes around scalping women. And then, like, you know, Buffalo Bill and Silence of the Lambs, like, kind of makes mannequins out of them. It's just bizarre. But he's great here. He plays like a manager of Paradise Found, which reminds me of Plato's Retreat, which was the first swingers bar of the 70s in New York. Swingers club, really. They had like pools and fake palm trees. And anyway, this is like a 1982 kind of more cleaned up version of that a little bit. And you got the pools and the parrots and the palm trees. This is sort of toward the end of the film. And the big drama of the film is that Henry Winkler and Shelly Long's character, Chuck and Belinda, start to fall in love. And she sees what a nice guy Chuck is and how he's trying to help the girl, herself and the girls, invest their money wisely so they can get out of this business earlier than later. And she really falls for him. And, you know, they start having breakfast together. And there's one scene where she takes off her robe and she's like basically kind of wearing like a t-shirt and undies. And he's just like, oh my God, his fiance calls. So earlier in the movie, Chuck has a fiance and she's completely uptight and everything just annoys her. And they're not meant to be together. And she's played by Gina Hache. And her character's name is Charlotte. Yeah, does she add anything to the film? Basically just to show that Chuck is stuck in dead-end jobs and neurotic women. Sometimes I can relate to that. But of course, I'm sort of neurotic myself. So we sort of attract what we attract, don't we? Yeah, so that was a moment of reflection there. I'm a little bit OCD and I can be neurotic at times. Guilty as charged. But obviously he's destined to be with Belinda and they are meant to be together. But he's upset because he thinks that she's going to quit after this scene where they consummate their relationship. And you know, they have a nice evening, they make love, and he's like, oh yeah, Bill, she's going to quit. Like, you know, we had a connection, we're there. And of course she shows up to work because she's got to make a living. And she asks a serious question to him. It's like, well, you should just quit. And she goes, well, what else am I supposed to do? This is all I've been doing. This is all I know. And she's good at it. You know, she's charming and whatever. But whatever you need to be to be a prostitute in 1982 New York. I mean, she's got it going on and she also can protect herself. There's a certain street smartedness to her, I guess, you know, street wariness, if you will. And it goes a little deep sometimes, but then it also, again, just feels like you're watching a 2-hour sitcom. 2-hour R-rated sitcom that takes place around the holidays. And it is a love story. I mean, it's a comedy and a love story, and that's what friends are for. And Michael Keaton is the wild and crazy idea guy, and Chuck is the cautious, I don't know, just the cautious guy in this odd couple, between him and Michael Keaton. And then you got Belinda, who's now Chuck's love interest. And the conflict is, can they be together? And can he tell her he loves her? And of course it happens, Will I go through how it happens? No, but it all takes place in Paradise Found. And again, that's the club that Joe Spinell's character manages, Manetti. And it's filled with parrots and pools and naked people in the pool and I guess call girls prostitutes or massage therapists. I don't know. Whatever is happening there is happening there. So there's one funny line, and this film is filled with funny lines for me anyway. And one of the funny lines is there's this kind of older guy who's in the pool, and he's like, I'm not getting out of this pool naked with all these parrots around. I'm like, okay, well, sir, what are you afraid is going to happen? And I don't know, maybe parrots mistake certain anatomy for large worms or something. I don't know. Whatever, But it's just a funny line. It hits me in a funny place, and I always love that line. But for me, I just love the overall tone of the film. I love the fact that it's dated. I love that it's early 80s. I love that it's right when the 80s start doing montages. I love the gritty feel of New York. The gritty yet classy feel of New York. Because it makes it look, well, both ways. Gritty and classy. And this is still in the days that, you had checkered cabs going down the street. And just hookers and pimps on, around Times Square, and it's just all that stuff happening. And it gave the city a sense of excitement. And I think that that's pretty cool. So I like this movie. I give it a thumbs up, 2 thumbs up. I think it's great. I don't have a rating system. I just kind of talk about the film, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And for what this is, it's fine. Is it going to win any Academy Awards? Did it? No. But it's the second directorial effort by Ron Howard, and I think it really holds up. So check out, especially during the holidays, check out this film, Night Shift from 1982. And it's also free on YouTube. So I don't know if I'm supposed to advertise that, but it is. It's totally someone plugged it on here in good quality, I might add. So check it out, see what you think, and enjoy, and like, comment, and subscribe. And again, life is not a problem to be solved, but a mystery to be lived. So live it. Enjoy. Catch you next time.